Okay, it's video number 149. It's Monday. This is part 78 of Paint5D Sprint. And what else? I think that looks about good. The labels look good. Texture push, let me move this over a bit because it's interfering. Alright, that looks a little bit better. Okay, yeah, so let's get going here. So, something is wrong with my texture pushing. And we kind of like temporarily patched it together by making TauSync do a full push rather than a partial push. So right here we have this texture update and it says TauSync glTexUpdate 2D. So this is the partial texture update thing that isn't working correctly. And we can go over here and we can see that, hey, it's commented out right here because we can't get it to work correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to first, we're going to just make sure that this still compiles, right? So before we even do anything else, we're going to just run the project, right? So we're going to run the project, make sure it, god damn it, make sure it compiles. My bit rate sucks right now. I need to get like an Ethernet cord. Yeah, so we're going to try to get this compiling, and then we might actually have to go to the bank really quick and figure out how to get some money to like withdraw an Ethernet cord, like check our balance and whatnot. But anyways, okay, so here we see this data here, and if we go here, we do P for pattern, and we go through here, we can see these different patterns, right? So we can see data is loaded into there, and we can go through it, right? And if we go over here, back to here, well, let's press U over here first. Now we can see kind of all the variables that we're actually using and the debug variables in the corner. Let's go back over here and let's press Y to go all the way up through all the different layers here. And then we'll go over here again, and we see that this pixel is green. So that's the pixel that is storing the information for what auto tile set layer I'm on. So we're going to close this, and we're going to just shove this one back in here, right? So we're going to shove this back in here. And so this is a full texture push, right? So this right here is a full texture push. And we want to just figure out, well, we want to figure out why this isn't working. So possibly the rectangle is in some place that makes no sense, right? There could be a lot of things. Let's just give this a shot and show you what I mean with like things going wrong here. So let's do a git bash here, and we're gonna like we're just going to blah. God, I'm kind of pissed right now that my frame rate is, I'm dropping 60% of my frames here. So /AAC2020.sh. So let's run this. And I know it's not going to work because the texture push is somehow off, but maybe this will hopefully give us some insight as to why the texture push is off. So what we're hoping here is that when I press like, so first of all, let's press U, and then go over here, right? So you can see these variables here, right? And, oh, that all looks kind of nice. So now the thing is, if we go over here, when we press Y, I believe it's going to be updated with a partial texture push. And I'm seeing that my button's no longer working. I'm no longer being able to like go through these different layers. And so what we want to know now is that if we go over here, do we see anything that looks kind of weird? And in fact, I am actually kind of surprised at what I'm looking at here because it seems to, whoa, what the heck? It's like right there, and then it just, okay, Y plus 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 plus. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely not being updated correctly. I'm actually surprised that it doesn't look as wrong as I thought it would look. So my thought here is that we're updating, like, a different section of the texture than we should be. So if we do this, let's look at this for a second. It almost looks to me that okay, so the pixel bounding rectangle, let's go steal this for a second and figure out where are these coordinates being used? Like, what's the values for these coordinates here, right? And does it make sense? So the bounding rectangle seems to be 434 to 435. That doesn't seem right. Oh, no, that makes sense because it's a 4x4 region of pixels, right? 434 to 435, that encompasses 2 pixels, and 384 to 385, that also encompasses 2 pixels, right? So if we look at, like, the Tau Depot diagram for, like, where everything's laid out, right? We know that we're over here, we're offset by 128 times 3 over here, right? So 128 times 3, and then we plus 32 on the x, but plus nothing on the y. So let's go do that math for a second and say, okay, so we got, 128 times 3 plus 32 times 0 equals the y origin. 128 times 3 plus 32 times 1 equals the x origin, right? So for where this should be inside of these bounds are global coordinates within the texture, right? Within this 512 by 512 texture, those are global coordinates within this 512 by 512 texture. And the way we get to those global coordinates is we have to look at these different partitions and turn the partition coordinates into XY values, right? So we want to get first the origin of this partition, and then the origin of this partition, and then we know it's going to be a pixel somewhere within that partition, and we just want to make sure that math all checks out, right? That's the first thing we want to do, is just make sure the math checks out, because so far we haven't had anything like fail us in terms of asserts, so I'm kind of like, I don't know. So if we look at this, we got 415, so 415 equals first pixel of cell, and then for this is, what is this? So this is, we take this 384, so okay, so knowing this, we can say 415 to 415 plus 31, right? So if we take let me see if I can find a nice online calculator that actually, what the fuck? It'd be nice to find an online calculator that, like, Google search actually works pretty well for a calculator. But the problem is that it doesn't partition very well. So, like, if I partition my screen like this, look how, like, I'm like this. Like, this is, what is this, right? Or, well, I'm not, so 415 plus 31, right? And 446, so to 446. And then we have 384. And I might have these boundaries off. I might have them reversed. So 384 to whatever this is plus 31, right? 415. So first of all, let's look at that diagram again one more time. So it's the x offset that's more, right? The x offset is more, the y offset is less. So let's go look at our math for a second. The x offset is more, so this is the x, and this is the y. Okay, that makes sense. So now the question is this x between this range here? And indeed, 434 to 435 is between here. How about the y? Is the y range between 384 and 385? And it is. But it's totally in the wrong spot. It's in the wrong spot. The y is... So we see 384. 384 is right here. So on the y... Oh, no, actually, no, that's correct. That's correct, because it's the y. So if we look at our in our texture, right, that would be up against the top edge, right? So this is correct. I have no reason to believe this is incorrect either, but let's think about the math for a second. So 415 is the first cell, right? Let's give this a run one more time. So let's give it a run. And we'll put this over here for a second. And we'll visually inspect the memory. And... Oh, wait, but it's running in this erroneous mode, so... it doesn't give us much to go off of. Let's close this. So let's take the piece of code. Let's close this. Let's take the piece of code that is in what, TauSync? Right. Let's comment this out again. Let's bring this one back in. And so okay, let's do a git bash here, and then let's try not to close this terminal again. So, if we give this a run, what we're thinking is that we just want to confirm that these coordinates make sense, right? So we just want to like visually inspect and say, confirm with utmost certainty that I want to confirm with utmost certainty that what I'm looking at is what I think I'm looking at. So over here, what do we got? So we got 415 to 446. 384 to 415. So 384 to 385 is up on this top edge here. So that's actually fine. On the x, however, let's think about the x. So if this is 384, 384, 384, 385, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Okay, so we're flipping over 100. 101, 102. So the x-axis kind of seems kind of wrong here. Or hold on. I'm just not doing this right. 415. So let's 415. I think I might have not counted that right. So on the x, 415. 415. Oh, I was doing this wrong. 415, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Do we have a 33? We have a 34 and a 35. So are we saying we're off by 1? Are we off by 1 on the x? Is that what's going on here? So this origin should be the first pixel, right? Okay, 415. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So 415, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33. Okay, so let's think about that. If we were to push 434 instead of 433, we'll never update this pixel, right? Well, because we'll skip over it, right? So, is that what's happening? So are we off by 1 with our calculations? That's kind of what it looks like. It looks like we're off by 1 with our calculations. Unless we made a mistake somewhere else. But why would the... well, the x calculations are zeroed out. So... the y. So what is the... Sorry, the y calculations are zeroed out. 384 to 385, right? So 384 is right here. We know that this is the correct thing because it's the first one, right? But this doesn't look correct. It seems to be that we are off by... So let's go snip this for a second. Okay. Let's go over to desktop. Call it measureme.png. And let's make sure the math is correct on this, right? So maybe our origin is wrong. Maybe we just didn't do that correctly. So we know it's the x seems to be off. So it is 128 times 0, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. 128 times 3 plus 32 times 1 gives us the origin, right? So 128 times 3 plus 32 times 1, right? And that gives us, what does that give us? It gives us 416. Oh, hold on, I gotta take this call, I think. Or maybe not. It only beeped once. Line in use. So, okay, so 416. So we checked our math again. It looks to me that we did our math wrong. How the hell did I do my math wrong here? Yeah, I'm getting 416 now. Hold on. Oh, because I did 31 times 1. It's 32 times 1. So it's a good thing I double-checked my math here, because if we do 4... Yeah, it's 416. It starts at 416. So I was wrong here. That's 416. And if we look at this again, so 416, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So 34, yeah, 434 to 435, yeah. So that is correct. That's correct. So the problem is somewhere else. And the question is, okay, well, where is the problem with this text subimage 2D thing? My thought was that we need to look at how to use glText subimage 2D. Maybe the problem is that there's no stride being supplied. So I think the WebGL version is not quite the same as the OpenGL version. glText subimage 2D updates the contents of a previously allocated texture. glText image 2D has to be called at least once to trigger the allocation. Okay, we already know the texture is previously allocated. We already know that works. So what we're concerned about is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 parameters here. I know I'm just going to look at the documentation here, or not the documentation, but the help, and see how they're using it. And I know I labeled everything, so if you look at glTextSubImage2D, right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, do you have 7 things? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 things. And then over here, I know I'm comparing it to Stack Overflow, but, you know, let's just look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 things here. So this looks like a location, right? The origin of the top left here, and the width and the height. And the width is the width. So I'm assuming that the width is the width of the subtexture. Is the width of the region. So this width height I'm thinking it's the region of the selection area, but maybe it's the region of the actual, like, where is stride being? So there's 3 things here. I'm missing this parameter here. So glTexture2D, and then no level of detail. So 0, 3, there's no LOD here, right? I don't see an LOD parameter here. Like, I put level of detail here, but I don't think that is actually how it goes. I think it's get rid of this LOD, and then this is probably like a stride variable. Yeah, so let's go look at that, because I think my signature is wrong. glText image, or text subimage 2D. Let's go look at the documentation for that. And see what the signature is. So, target. Note, target, level of detail, X offset, Y offset, width, height, format, type, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things here. So the level of detail in X and Y, right? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things here. What's the difference between this one and that one, right? Because that might be the thing. Specifies a texel offset in the Y direction within the texture array. So the texture array. I believe they mean the actual array that we're trying to upload. Specifies the width of texture subimage. Okay, so the width of the texture subimage. So the X offset, Y offset is within the image, and then this width is the texture subimage. Okay. And then specifies a pointer to the image in data memory. So does this pointer need to be offset based on where the origin is in here? glTextSubImage2D and glTextureSubImage2D redefine a contiguous subregion of an existing two-dimensional or one-dimensional array texture image. The texels referenced by pixels replace the portion of the existing texture array with X indices, X offset, and X offset plus width minus 1 inclusive, and Y indices Oh, the texels referenced by pixels replace the portion of the existing text array with x indices x offset and x offset plus width minus 1. Okay, so this makes sense, right? Plus the width minus 1, right? That, because if you, okay, that formula makes sense. Inclusive, right? Okay, the region may not include any texels outside the range of the texture array as it was originally specified. It is not an error to specify a texture with 0 width or height, but such a specification has no effect. If a non-zero named buffer object is bound to the GL pixel unpack buffer target, GL bind buffer, while a texture image is specified, pixels is treated as a byte offset into the buffer object's data store. Okay, well, hold on. If a non-zero named buffer object pixels is treated as a byte offset into the buffer object's data store. This thing right here. So a byte offset, because I was wondering about that. Like, how does it know where to start looking? So this byte offset, because I was wondering, there's no byte offset for this. Like, the WebGL version of this command has a byte offset, and this does not seem to have a byte offset. And so, if we look at this, a non-zero named buffer object is bound to the GL pixel unpack buffer. So if we look at unpack buffer, right, we have unpack row length. So I don't know where we want to put this, but I think this is a clue. So we might as well GL bind buffer. GL bind buffer is not what we have, but I think this is part of the clue. I think this is a clue here about what we're doing wrong here. So say clue. So I think this is definitely a clue as to what's going on here. So we're just gonna keep this reference here. Yeah, because I think that is part of what's going on, I think. Somewhere we're supposed to be able to specify an offset into that array. But we're also supposed to be able to supply, like, a stride, right? So I don't know. Let's go on Midori Run. I'm gonna go onto Facebook really quick, and I know I have some, like, AAA programmer friends who might know this answer, so I'm just gonna hold on. So I'm just gonna ask this question on my Facebook really quick, because I don't know what's going on here. So, and also bank. I need to go to the bank. What do I need to go to the bank for? Okay, so let's go on Facebook. Let's go ask this question really quick. So it's what, subtexture push? What is it called? It's called, right, what is it called? It's called, text subimage 2D. Okay, so let's post that and see if we get any luck there. And at 4, I'm going to have to leave to go check out the bank really quick. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of stuff that I need to do that just I can't. So yeah, my guess is what is happening I think what's happening is it is without any. I think what's happening is it's taking this address here, and it's just starting to read from the very beginning of that. But that doesn't make sense because wouldn't we need a stride as well? So let's go look for stride. Let's just work for the keyword stride. So there should be a way to specify the stride, right? GL text subimage 2D with pitch slash stride, right? That's kind of what we need to specify, but there's no parameters for such a thing. So we have to figure out why that is. Update subrectangles of a big master texture. I basically have a software-generated image buffer of, say... Okay, so they're doing this. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Unpack row length. Yeah, so this looks kind of like what I'm looking at. Do we have unpack row length? So we got pixel store, UA, unpack alignment, and then unpack row length, right? So PW, what's PW? Hold on. Yeah, this is the stride, right? Yeah, because this is the stride. Here's the stride, and UA was unpack alignment. Unpack alignment we might have wrong. Like, unpack alignment might not be 4. It might actually be, like, the offset to the right, right? Well, let's go look at that. Unpack alignment. So unpack alignment, what's that all about? We're just going to keep on reading until we know what we're doing. So I'm pretty certain that I'm not calling the function correctly, because I don't really know OpenGL that well. Wrong. The correct alignment for tightly packed GLRGB unsigned byte is 1. Unpack alignment would only work with your settings if the row length is coincidentally a multiple of 4 bytes, which 7 times 3 is not. OpenGL 4.5 core specs say the value of unpack row length and unpack alignment control the row-to-row spacing in these images as described in 8.44. For GL-RGB, only one will work for all cases, including odd row widths, so simply use that for this user data. So I'm thinking the unpack alignment is specific to the sub-selection I have. GL unpack alignment 4 because each element is a multiple of 4 bytes. So let's take this, let's steal this for a second. And let's look at where we're doing unpack alignment, right? So unpack alignment, ALN, guess, right? So we're guessing at 4, and we're saying that we want to paste this, and so we are using RGBA. Yeah. I'm in the basement and there. Yeah, I'm kind of screwed right now. Yeah, let me give you a quick tech demo for a second. And I see I have one more subscriber, so I'm going to guess that's you. But let me give you a quick tech demo. Yeah, I am dropping... I can see I'm dropping 60% of my frame, so it's like I am so... I'm a little bit demoralized right now, because like I want a lot of viewers, then like this kind of stuff happens. So I made like this game, right? And it's like a Bomberman game. And let me see if I can kind of split screen this for you and kind of type it out for you. Since I'm seeing, like, I'm buffering really badly, right? So let me go over here so I can type this out to you. Okay, so right here. Yeah, so I made this game. There are different kinds of explosions. There's 4 ways, 2-way horizontal and 2-way vertical, and then there's also a 4-way that instantly ignites when you touch it. But most of these are like proximity mines that you can walk by them and they'll explode at a later time. Like they'll blink and then they'll explode. I actually have some images of that. So let me just go look at and see if I can find old game GIFs folder. I'll find it. I just gotta look here a little bit deeply. So when I can't find things, I put them in my shortcuts. So I got this like master shortcuts file here, and I'm just gonna say old game GIFs folder, old game GIFs, AAC 2020 GIFs. Nope. I'll find it. AAC GIFs folder. Nope. AAC 2020 GIFs folder. How about that? Nope. NG GIFs folder. Okay, old GIFs folder. So I have a big thing of shortcuts where... Oh, there we go. So I found this right here. So I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to paste this as another synonym. And next time I'm looking for this, I won't have to take as many guesses, right? So these are all my guesses, and I'm going to make all these guesses new shortcuts, right? So every one of these is a guess, and it's going to tell me that, oh, this is the actual shortcut that I want to look for. So, and I can also give it a little date of when I made this entry. So it's 2021-02-22. And let's go look for this. So let's go open this up. So Windows E, and it's AA1 GIFs folder. So if I type that in here, we should be able to find some of the old GIFs. Oh, excellent. So here we go. So yeah, so the current game is from is old like Newgrounds game, and so it's not like something that's it's not something you can really play anymore. Like I think you can play it on Newgrounds. I can give you the link if you're really interested. But right, so we got these bombs that explode in different directions, and they can take out parts of the level. And certain tiles have different tiles have different properties. So these pillar tiles will fall if there's nothing supporting them. And the pillar tiles, if they hit bombs, right? This pillar hits a bomb, and then it ignites the bomb. So if a bomb is compressed, right? If a bomb is hit by something, the bomb explodes. And if a bomb interacts with any type of spark or heat source, it will also explode. Right, so these little pistons emit sparks and make the bombs go off. Different, like I said, there's different materials with different properties. So the vent tiles allow explosions to go through, but they don't actually damage the vent tiles. So the vent tiles are indestructible, but allow the flames to pass through, which makes for interesting puzzles, right? So let's look over this. So here, I touch these bombs, but they don't immediately explode, right? And see these bombs right here, I'm about to touch them. They don't immediately explode, right? They're proximity mines, so they have a delay before they explode, right? Now, that's not all of the bombs, right? The skull bombs are instant kill. So, actually, let's look at this level here. So this is kind of cool, right? So you hit the floor, the bombs don't immediately explode, they chain react, and you have to dodge the explosion, right? The skull bombs right here are instant kill, right? So, so right there you kind of saw me kind of like sacrifice a little guy came out of a box, and I had to push him into the bombs to get through the level, right? Because it was blocked off by instant kills. So let's go back to that really quick at the very beginning. Or we'll have to wait for it. So right after here, we're going to see how that guy pops out of a crate, and I have to get him to fall into the instant kill. So these are instant kill bombs, so I get him to jump in there, and now I can pass through, right? So there's a whole bunch of little GIFs here. I'll probably make like a little gallery of all this kind of stuff. But we made like a lot of different level designs with a lot of like different interesting like chain reactions. These are like invisible NPCs. They're like thwomps, right? And they just destroy everything in their path. See how this is getting blown out? They're kind of like invisible ghosty things. I don't know. I was messing around with different NPC ideas. Or I guess enemy ideas. But yeah, with a lot of different game ideas. Like, so here we got this piston that's about to fall down here and chain react everything. Right now the ceiling's coming down. It crushes me to death, right? So how do you beat this level? Well, you have to get through here and then down here before this floor kind of comes out, right? So, is this just the one of me just failing? I should have took these GIFs as like one playthrough per GIF rather than having multiple takes, because this kind of sucks the way I did this. But oh well, I guess it was better than nothing. A little blood splatter on the place that I already died. Let's just assume I don't beat this level. So, okay, yeah, so here's the solution, right? Fall through here and try not to get hit by these vertical explosions, right? We got a lot of, like, cool stuff, right? Anyways, I can definitely, if you want to see that kind of stuff, I can post those GIFs to a website URL sometime. Yeah, I can post those to, like, a website URL for you sometime. Yeah, I'm buffering. I'm sorry that I'm buffering like this. I am very angry about this as well. But I just gotta code and make things happen and then figure this out at a later date. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what's going on here. So we're gonna just take this little commentary here and say, you know, this is probably a clue about Unpack Alignment, right? So we're just gonna shove this in a little comment. Anything that gives us insight as to what is going on. So I'm not an expert at OpenGL, right? I just try to do enough OpenGL to get my shader code working, and then it's like I want to keep my game engine as simple as possible, so I don't want to get like really fancy with OpenGL. I just want to use enough of OpenGL to do what I need to do, and then try to keep all the complexity to like my shader logic and my CPU side code, right? So we got this other clue here, so why don't we just kind of like tag this as like, why don't we just tag this as clue, right? And just give it like a little tag, some type of little, I don't know how we want to do it, but it's a clue, right? So let's just tag it as a clue. And then let's also remember not to forget the actual URL for where this is coming from, right? So this does bulk up our code, right? Where it's like, oh god, we have way too many comments in our code, and our code gets kind of like hard to manage, right? Because it's like all this kind of like commentary here all over the place. But the thing is that we gotta, it's better to have comments that help us figure out what the hell is going on than to just be left in the dark. So so we're thinking that alignment, if we set alignment to 1, that might be part of the issue. But I don't really think that's the issue, because the alignment should be 4, because we're using RGBA, right? RGBA color, which means there's 4 bytes per pixel, right? So here's this 4-byte alignment. That should be correct. And also we use 512 by 512 textures, which also should end up being divisible by 4. So I don't see anything in here that would suggest that this is what I need. And then also this, what is COE? I'm going to guess this is, COE is probably a macro for, yeah, crash on get error. So COE is just a macro to check for do GL get error and just check to see if anything was called incorrectly. And so far it has no problem with that. So I don't think it's this problem. I stole this from some code that I did in WebGL, and that worked fine. So I don't think that's the problem. So we're just going to have to keep on reading and figuring some things out. And yeah, I do think it's a stride issue. I do definitely think it's a stride issue. So I think it's, I think that it is a unpack row length. So I don't think it's this. I think it's unpack row length. And this thing says 512. Now, if it's 512 and we're doing alignment with 4, that would already be correct. But there's no initial offset into the buffer, right? There's no initial offset into the buffer. And so what I think is happening is that this needs to be offset to the first byte of where we're reading memory from, right? So I think it's taking this first address here, and it's just, this is the, I think this is the destination, and this needs to have, this is the destination rectangle, and it starts reading from here, and when it starts reading from here, it needs the correct offset. So what I think needs to happen is we need to add a offset into the this pixel array. So I think we need to do something like this, where we take this pointer, and we have to say, let's make it kind of readable. So let's take the address of this, and let's index access into it. I know this is kind of like a really bulky way to write this, but instead of going to the 0th, we got to go, 0 plus, right? From the base address, we need to go to the origin location, right? So, so in order to get the origin location, we gotta, like, so let's say, int32 first byte, first address of first byte. Offset in bytes to first byte. We're just going to call it this. And this offset right here, we're going to put right here. I think that's what I need to do to fix this. Because this signature does not have this offset included in it, and the WebGL version does, and I'm pretty sure that's what I need. I think that this is, I think this only covers the destination rectangle and not the source rectangle. Source is specified by a stride stride and the first valid byte of the memory strip to be read. So yeah, I think that this rectangle here, this rectangle I think is only the destination rectangle. I don't think it's the rectangle on the texture, right? The destination rectangle, so texture rectangle. GPU texture rectangle, GPU texture rectangle. And not the source CPU. So I think this is what's happening. I've done this before on WebGL, and so I'm fairly certain this is the issue. Not 100%, but fairly certain. So let's make a note here that at vid IID, and the video ID is the video ID right here is 1:49, and the time is 57, and let's call this, let's just wait for 23, because I like to keep the conspiracy numbers going. So let's reiterate what's going on here. Right here, I'm just saying that I think this rectangle is just specifying the destination. This rectangle is specifying the destination. It's not specifying the source, right? The source is going to be specified by the initial offset into the memory, right? So we want the address of the first valid byte of the memory we're reading from on the CPU side. So this is our CPU side texture, but we don't want to start from the base address of here. We want to offset in bytes to the first byte that we want to read from. And then we also want to specify a stride. So right here is where we're specifying a stride. So this right here, this PW, is the stride. The stride is specified in pixels right here. And then we can combine that stride with the unpack alignment. So this unpack alignment is 4, right? Because we got RGBA, right? So 4 bytes per pixel. So this stride combined with this alignment should give us the correct stride in bytes, right? So, right, if we made alignment 1, then I'm pretty sure that this stride would have to be 512 times 4. I think. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm just going off of having used this in WebGL before, that I think that this is what I need to know, right? So, when you're a little bit stuck, you got to think about, you know, in terms of this function call, does OpenGL have all the information it would need to perform the operation, right? So without even knowing a lot about OpenGL, we can just think about the math of copying one chunk of pixels to another chunk of pixels and just say, hey, are all the variables specified here? So you can just mathematically analyze it from just a logical perspective and say, hey, is all the information here? Like if we did GL text sub image and we gave it one parameter, and it was just the target texture, or right, like you get the idea that, how can I describe this, right? Like if you had a command that was like, hey, rotate some object, right? And that's the command, rotate some object, then you know it needs an object and it needs a rotation amount, right? Those are the, you could logically say, okay, this command rotates some object, so it needs an object and a rotation amount, right? And so you could, and maybe it needs like a center point, but you could think about it logically, and then you could think about, okay, well, if that's everything that the command needs logically to do it, and if you didn't give it that information, it doesn't have enough information to do what it says it does, that's kind of how we're going to solve this problem. So I'm saying that from looking at this signature, we need this offset into the array for it to really have enough information. So that's my guess. So we're going to go with that. So the offset in bytes to the first byte. We're going to have to do an index to xy formula for this. So just do like index to xy, or actually, sorry, xy to index. And I have a little snippet for this, right? So dex equals tx plus the width. So the width is 512. And the y location right here if we look at this, the Y location is this, so we can just steal some of this stuff, right? So we can just steal this and say, you know, Y, and the TX is the X, so we can steal this X location, right? And this is the index, right? So we might want to make this look a little bit nicer and just say, align this a little bit nicer, you know? Maybe put more parentheses than is actually needed, you know? And we could also do this. We could also say, I know it's kind of pointless to multiply by 1, but just to give the formula a little bit more regularity so that we can see what we're doing, right? So it's 1 times, so X times 1, right? Because that's just the remainder. But then the Y has to be multiplied by the stride, right? Y times stride. X is remainder. So X is the remainder and Y is the stride. So this is an XY, XY to index formula. Okay. Now, we're still not quite correct because we need to multiply by 4. So this is almost correct. But we need to multiply by 4 because right now we're in terms of pixels, right? So we can take this, right? And we can times 4. Multiply by 4 because 4 bytes in 1 pixel. And we want a byte offset and we want a byte and not a pixel offset. And then we can say, you know, 4 equals RGBA, right? So 4 bytes per pixel, right? So this is why we have this 4 right here. So this is the index to XY formula right here. And then, but we want the offset in bytes. So I'm thinking that this is the solution. I could be totally wrong. Yeah, so if anyone knows how to turn down the bitrate, because I know I'm kind of like going in and out here. But yeah, so I think this is the solution, right? So we just want to offset into here correctly, and then we'll be good to go. So I could be wrong, right? So we're going to dereference. We're going to dereference and use an offset, right? So we're going to do an array accessor. So I don't like pointer math, so I'm writing it this way because this way is going to be more clear to people who are new to C programming, and it's also going to be just more clear to me. Like, because when I look at pointer logic, weird pointer offset math, I'm just like, WTF, what is this? Okay, so now that we have that, the next thing is, let's make sure that works, right? So we made the modifications to this function, and now we're going to cross our fingers and say, hey, do we got that right? So we already have this commented out, so let's comment this back in and give it another shot and see if we can get the program to behave as we think it should behave. So I think that's what we have to do. There could be other things that I'm missing, but I think that's one of the things that I must do to get this subtexture push to work correctly when we're using OpenGL rather than WebGL. So we're just going to put a pattern in here, and hey, look at that. That actually works. If my subtexture push was not working, we would not be able to see that working. So press the U key for a second and go back over here. And yeah, so now let's go Y all the way up to here. Okay, let's go back to here, and I can see this pixel is green right now, so it's being updated correctly. So I'm, like, excited, because I think that this means we got that working, unless this isn't the right command, right? And actually, no, this is the right command right here. Bam! So that is the fix that we needed, right? So if we look at our little comments here, remove once working. Okay, remove once working, and we want to comment this back in once working, right? This right here says comment in once back working, and it's working. So excellent. So we figured out the bug. Holy crap, that was, this would have taken, if I had not had previous experience doing this, I would have been stuck for a lot longer. But yeah. So let's say, clue update, 2021, what's today? 2021-02-22, at vid IID, and the video ID is 149, and the time is 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 23 seconds to keep the conspiracy. ALN equals 4 is correct because we have 4 bytes per pixel with RGBA format. So that's our update. And let's just, I don't know, right? So yeah, that is correct. Like, I took this code from other WebGL code that I already had working. So, you know, I cut and pasted it from... So the idea was, you know, I read documentation, then I also was cutting and pasting from code that already worked. But it was WebGL code, so it wasn't quite correct. So that's good. So what's this thing here? Don't think I'm doing this, but code working, and the working so yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but let's set this to 42 seconds because we want to be cool here. So right here, I don't know if this is true, right? I don't know if this is true, but we just got the code working, and because we got the code working we got this code working already, and to get it working, we used glTextSubImage2D with the offset into the buffer, which suggests that maybe we do have that set up. I don't know for sure, but that is suggestive of what we're doing. So yeah, I think that's what's going on. Now, let's do one more thing. Let's actually break the code really quick. Let's break the code intentionally to make sure that... So if we take this offset, right? We take this offset and we set it to 0, right? Let's break the code and rerun it and see if when we break the code, it once again doesn't work anymore. Like, we get rid of this offset. If we get rid of this offset in bytes to the first byte of what we're pushing up to OpenGL. If we get rid of that, I'm going to assume that we're not going to see this work anymore. So P for pattern, and I do Y to go up through here, and I'm not seeing any feedback, right? Okay, so now if we take this and we get rid of this, right? And then we go take this and we give it another run here. Okay. And now if we try to give this a run and we try to like go over here and we go P for pattern and then we press, look, okay, we're seeing stuff. So the one variable in the texture memory, this variable right here, so we're looking at instead of using uniforms, we're using a big block of texture memory to store different variables. And this pixel is storing a different variable that tells me what kind of layer I'm looking at in the renderer. That variable is now working correctly. And so therefore I can confirm 100% that this is the solution to the so at fixed at vid IID 0149. Time is 1 hour, 12 minutes, and how about 12 seconds, right? Initial getting this offset into memory was the solution. So that also means that the stride we specified is probably the stride of the CPU side memory. So if we used a smaller block of memory, like maybe we just used a, since we're updating in this code, we're updating like a 1x1. Well, it depends, but sometimes we could be updating like a 32 by 32 chunk. So if we weren't using a 512 by 512 image, and then instead of the stride being 512 times 4, the stride would be like 32 times 4 or something, right? So we fixed this right here. I'm just making a note that we fixed it. This is very bulky, right? It's completely bulky. It's like a crazy way to like specify calling it function, right? But the idea is just we want to keep a lot of notes about what we're doing. Because we can always trim down the code later if we think the code is like polluted with comments, then we can if we think the code is polluted with comments, we can strip the comments out. But if we don't think there's enough comments, we can't just magically put those comments in, right? Because you can't look at code you wrote a year ago and be like, what was I thinking when I wrote this code, right? You can't do that. So what you can do is, you can make sure that when you initially write the code, you just fill it with tons of comments, right? And then if you ever think there's too much information, then you can strip it down. You can strip things down, but you can't, like, add comments after the fact, right? So, use this if the partial texture push ends up failing you in the future. So yeah, we'll keep this here like this. But this full texture push, we're commenting it out because instead of removing it, I'm just going to keep it here because it may be useful in the future. I don't think it will be. I don't think we'll ever have to re-enable this piece of code, but we might want to. We might want to know about it. So this right here is the partial texture push, right? So partial texture push. This is what we want to be doing, and we got it working today. Date is 2021-02-22, and the time is 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 42 seconds, because we want to be cool. Actually, so there's the date, but there's also the video ID, right? So, at vid IID. So the video ID is 149, and the time is, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 42 seconds. So we got this working. And let's just make a comment to that. I know we're kind of being crazy with our documentation here, but so, and I am going to just put the name of the function we're using. So that way, if I click these, I see these two light up, and I know that this commentary is for the command down there, right? Okay. So this to-do vital, get text subimage 2D working. Well, we can remove this because we just got that working, right? And we'll keep this comment from one of my viewers in the code. We'll just kind of indent things a little bit so we can kind of like clear things up. Debug idea. Update. Good idea. Yeah, so this is a good idea. But we never had to go this far to fix it. We already got the problem fixed. We don't have to do this. Okay, so now that our code is, 90% comments, which is crazy, but we got it working. We got the thing that was really bothering me working. So before we go on to the next step, it's 4:05, so I need to actually go to the bank. So I'm going to do that. But first, I want to make sure it works. I'm going to go push this up to GitHub, and then I'm going to go to the bank and get my routing information and all that stuff. Okay, so over here, we're going to load a pattern, and then we're going to go through here, and yes, we can see that's working. We're going to do U to put some debug variables, then we're going to go over here, we're going to look for this. We're going to look at the texture, and we can see, oh yeah, here's that one pixel that I want to look at, and it's there. It's there. It's been updated. Cool. So this is all working correctly. That's awesome. So git status, git add dot, git commit -am, sub texture pushing now works. I really should have put a to-do in there. Okay, so what's the next thing we need to do now? The next thing we need to do is, do we have a to-do file? I'm gonna put this in some notes file for a second. So documentation, we got trash. Is S for scratch? No, summary. Let's just make a scratch pad. Debugging problems. So let's just say date 2021-02-22. And let's kind of just keep a chronological scratch pad of kind of things we were up to, right? So And let's put this in documentation. So let's put it in documentation. And I'm just going to create something called CSP. And CSP is going to be CSP chronological scratch pad. Put notes you made on certain days in this file. And always put the newer stuff near. Newest. Okay, chronological scratch pad. So also we might want to make a note of this. At vid IID 0149 time 1:22:33. Pasted this code into chronological scratch pad. So yeah, just make a little timestamp of when we kind of like pasted this code into our chronological scratch pad, right? And then also in our documentation, do we have a to-do thing? So we don't want to clutter up the main directory of here. So let's go into lib, or not lib, sorry, into documentation. We got to fix fake project tree. We got some images. We got a trash folder. We got an index thing. I don't know what index was. Oh, we got a to-do file, right? So this to-do file, let's open up this to-do file. And to-do file, zoom in and out. Editor. Control. We'll need adjust the fragment shader code to get this feature working. So, 1, we need to do this. 2, Josh should be able to set tiles within the design by clicking okay, so these are my to-dos. And so we're going to just upload that so we know what we need to do next. So git status, git add dot, git commit -am. Actually, unstage. How do I unstage? Hold on. Unstage file git. So it's been a while since I've done this, so unstage file git. Git unstage file. Git unstage file. And unstage a file. I just want to make sure that I don't do anything wrong here, like accidentally delete a file or completely remove it from the version control. Prepare them for given. Yeah, I just want to put the separate files in different commits, right? So put separate files in different commits. Different commits. Might want git unstage file. Okay, so to unstage all file. Okay, it's reset. Yeah, so I think I just want to do git reset path to file. Okay, so let's go do that. So over here, we're just going to go git reset dot slash you can just do doc slash to do git status git commit dash am. We're just going to say CSP chronological scratch pad, right? So I just want a note for what that stands for. I don't think that quite worked. God damn it. Yeah, I don't think that actually did what I wanted it to do. File. I may have done that wrong. I may have not done that completely correct. So let's just go look at GitHub really quick. And then we really need to get out of here. So just go to the bank. www.github.com. Yeah, I don't know. I need to go. My bitrate sucks, so let's just stop this stream, and I gotta go to the bank anyways, and then I'll be right back after the bank. But I gotta look up for like a new Ethernet cord and stuff. So AAC 2020. If we look at this, in doc we have the we have CSP. Oh, hold on, we have to push this up to kanji coder. Git push kanji coder master. Let's go push it up to kanji coder for a second. Okay. And now that we've pushed that up to kanji coder, we should see like a chronological scratch pad, right? So chronological scratch pad here. And then in to do, if we look at to do, we have our to-dos. So, okay, excellent. So that's all ready to go. So I'm going to stop the stream now, and then I'm going to come back later. But I'll see you when I see you.